It feels great, be back down here in Spartanburg with our teammates, and knowing that this is the first step really for this new season, for this new team. Really trying to put it all together and just come together as a group.
Thomas, last week was chaotic, and I'm sure you knew we were going to ask you about it. What is your overall evaluation of everything that you saw, heard, experienced last week with Dave Gettleman leaving?
I think it's important for you guys and for us as players to put everything into perspective. We are hired to do a job. We come in as players and we play football. We practice and we do what's asked of us. And, the things that happen upstairs within the organization is out of our control. We have no control whatsoever over that. And, I think that we just got to continue to keep that into perspective, understanding that, our job and our role here is to come in and win football games. We understand that, and when decisions are made like the decision that was made last week, for players, we have to live with it. We have to line up and we have to play. We have Marty Herney as our GM right now, and that's something that we're focused in on right now as players and moving forward and understanding that, looking at social media and seeing all the talk and people rushing to judgment saying that our season is going to be terrible because we let our GM go a week before. I think you really have to realize that we are the ones that go out and play the games. So we would determine how our season goes based on how we play as players.
Thomas, where do things stand with the negotiations for an extension?
It's ongoing. It's just one of those things that, it's a contract negotiation. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But I would definitely say this. I'm excited that we're even in a position where we're negotiating. I haven't this year left under my contract, and for the organization, it's something that they don't have to do. So I'm excited that they have chosen to do it, and it actually started while Dave was actually here, like I said last week. But at the end of the day, it's all about playing football, and that's what we're trying to focus in on right now. Let the business side of things take care of itself when it happens. But for me, I'm totally focused on training camp and getting better as a player.
It seemed last week that you were a bit irked that people were putting some of the blame on what happened upstairs on you.
Man, extremely irked. Some of the stuff that was being said, man, it's unbelievable to think of the two guys that was being talked about. When you think about myself and you think about Greg Olsen and, what we try to represent and what we try to stand for as not only as players but as pillars of the community, as leaders of this football team, I think it was, like I said last week, it was totally unfair and uncalled for, some of the stuff that was being said. But at the same time, it comes with the territory. We understand it. But as veterans, we don't lose sight of the task at hand, and that's coming in and being the best teammates, being the best players that we can possibly be, and that's our focus.
How would you characterize the talks you had with Dave when
you're? It had just started. It was talks that had just started, so it wasn't. I wouldn't say that it was bad. I wouldn't say that it was good, but we were talking.
Did you speak with Greg at all during that whole tumult last week and heading in here?
We talked, but it wasn't extensive. We didn't really dig down in it. We just both agreed that it was unfair treatment, and I think a lot of it started with you guys, with the media saying that we were the cause of it, which is, like I said, it's unfair. Because I think if at the end of the day, if you want to dig down into it, get your facts, find out, ask questions from upstairs. That's where this stuff is coming down from. Find out within the organization what really happened before you just go out and put stuff out there like that.
TV, Gettleman had a history, well-established history of being brutally honest, especially with guys kind of nearing the end of their careers. Did you find yourself having to kind of defend your worth with him toward the end in terms of, that kind of thing as you talked about another extension?
Not at all. I sat down with Mr. Gettleman a bunch, and, to his credit, he told me to my face that he didn't see a decline in my play. He told me that he had never seen anything like it before for a guy my age. So I guess it sort of put him in a tough position on making a decision moving forward. But, it was never where he said something negative to me about me as a player or me as a person. We never had one of those interactions.
How much longer do you want to play?
Till I can't anymore.
Talk about this
How
year.
long do you think that is?
Who knows? I don't put a time limit on it. But realistically, you know, it's more of a year-to-year thing right now for me, and I feel great right now. So we'll see what the future holds.
So do you like a 1 year, 2 years?
I don't know.
Talk about this year's team. You've got a new defensive coordinator. You've got Peppers back, captain back, some new additions. You know, what do you think about the team this year?
I'm very excited. You know, and speaking defensively, you know, to add a guy like Julius Peppers back with the experience that he has and, you know, the ability that he has, I think when you look at Pep and what he's still able to do as a player, man, it's unbelievable. And you think about Captain being one of the best nickelbacks in this league, and he's also a guy that is a versatile player because he can play outside if need be. So we're definitely excited to have Cap and Pep back. But then you add a guy like Mike Adams in the secondary, and you add L.J. McCray and to create some competition at the safety spot. I really feel like, you know, we did a really good job in the offseason in the free agency market. And you look at the draft, what we were able to do offensively and bringing some of those guys in and defensively. I feel like, you know, they did a really good job of completing this football team. Now it's important for us as players to go out and, you know, make those new pieces fit.
Thomas, given what you said about Dave, do you feel like you have a better chance of getting a contract extension with Marty as GM?
I honestly don't really feel like that had anything to do with it. Like I said, negotiations had begun already, and that's something in negotiations. You negotiate, you go back and forth, and you come up with an agreement, and that's kind of what we were doing. So I don't really want to place that burden on Marty and hearing everything that was said about him, which I feel like was unfair as well, because we was in a unique situation when Marty paid a bunch of guys a long time ago, coming out of a lockout, and we wanted to retain our guys. So I mean, I think people just need to do more research before you rush to judgment and make assessments about people. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm here. I'm excited to be here. Carolina is my home, and it will always be.
Talk about what's it like to come into training camp, you know, compared to what it was like 10 years ago. And have you heard any horror stories what training camps were like in the 70s when, you know, water was for sissies and nobody got water and nobody got breaks?
Yeah, I definitely heard a bunch of those stories, but training camp was pretty rough when I first came into the league in 2005. You know, we were going 2 times a day, full pads, both times, and, you know, that was rough. But I think with the new CBA and the way the structure is now, it's a lot better for players. And overall, it's going to be better for the teams because the more you can keep your guys healthy, the better product we're going to be able to put on the field, and the more the fans will get to be able to enjoy the game. So I think that was an important step that was taken a few years ago to reduce some of the practices and cut down on some of the time and, you know, not really have that pounding on guys. And I think for a lot of older guys like myself, you know, that's helped extend our career somewhat.
Did you get hazed at that rookie camp?
Did I get hazed? I would call it a rookie initiation. I wouldn't really call it hazing. We don't haze in the NFL.
Does having missed the time that you did due to your knees earlier in your career influence you trying to hold on as long as you can at the end?
I think it's helped my body in an amazing way. You know, when you think about having 2.5 years of not having the normal pounding that a normal linebacker would have at the age of 34, I think I'm seeing the benefits of that right now. You know, if you can actually look at that situation and say that there was some good in it, I would point to this. You know, with being able to go out and still play at a high level, still be able to really compete with some of these guys at this age, I would definitely accredit it to that.
How about mentally, though? Is that making you want to hold on as long as you can at the end here because you did miss some prime years?
You know, for me, it's never been a mental issue. I've always been mentally strong. If it came down to that, I could play this game for 10 more years if it was based on being mentally strong. You know, it really comes down to a point where your body just can't take the pounding and the beating of playing in this league anymore, and I haven't reached that level yet.
TD, when you signed your last extension, you strongly suggested it would probably be your last contract. What happened in those 2 years that made you change?
I felt the way I did the day I woke up and realized that I wanted to keep playing. You know, my body feels great. I feel like I have a lot of years left for me to I don't want to say a lot of years, but I have a few years left for me to play this game, and until my body says otherwise, I'm going to continue to pursue that. And That's really been my focus, you know, just continuing to go day to day and understanding how my body feels, and never losing sight of being able to compete at a high level. It's not about just being in the league and hanging around and, you know, just being a part of a team. If I can't contribute, if I can't compete with the guys that are on the field, then that's when I know it's time to hang it up.
How much did the Super Bowl experience play in your decision?
It played a huge deal in that decision, because, you know, we still have unfinished business. You know, for me, I'm still chasing that ring as a player. That's really why we play this game. It's not about money. It's not about anything other than winning the Super Bowl, and we haven't accomplished that yet here in this organization. We've been twice as an organization, but we haven't won it yet. So that's still the goal.
Thomas, there was another medical report, excuse me, that came out studying the brains of players, and 110 out of 111 had CTE of NFL players. How much does that circulate amongst the players? You guys have obviously made the choice that you're going to keep playing.
You know, we definitely talked about it, man, and that's something that's definitely it's alarming. I would say that it's something that, you know, we really are paying really close attention to as players, and, you know, I really I would be lying to you if I didn't say that I didn't get nervous, you know, seeing that stat. You know, it's a very alarming stat. And to know that 3 out of the 14 high school kids that they tested had it as well, I mean, I think that's very eye-opening. But at the same time, you know, we did make a decision. We chose to play this game. And at this point, you know, you just so passionate and you just love it so much. You just try to continue to do it and do it the right way. I think the league and the NFLPA has definitely dove in hard and trying to come up with solutions, come up with ways, and I think with the new concussion protocol that we have right now, I think that's definitely a start to improving the overall lives for players after the game when you think about dealing with concussions and head injuries.
Thomas, just your last one follow-up with that. I mean, your wife, you know, you guys obviously a very close couple. I mean, do you guys talk? Does she ever express concern about that as a wife?
No, we've talked about it, and, you know, my wife is very opinionated, to say the least. And, you know, we talk about it often, and it's something that, you know, we really started talking about it because of our boys. You know, we have 2 boys, 13 and 9-year-old, that are playing football right now. And, you know, I go out to their practices and I'm watching what the coaches are teaching them. And I think right now the coaches at the levels that they're playing at are doing a really, really good job of teaching the guys how to tackle, teaching them how to keep their heads up. And, you know, I think that's important. And I feel confident in letting them play, knowing that they're teaching it the right way.
Hey, Thomas, I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing a ride out there. You have any good story behind that?
No good story, you know, just training camp chronicles. That's usually what I do when I come to training camp. I got to have a nice ride.
You have a